So hi friends, welcome to my channel once again. So today I'm going to make a gimbal, a phone gimbal. Yeah, usually I do not have a camera, that's the reason I'm not making a camera gimbal. However, I'm making a phone gimbal using scrap woods or scrap boards, you can say. So first of all, I am just making a dimensions drawing, a rough drawing, and it's a circle gimbal. So you can say I'm using MDF board, or you can say laminated MDF board. So yeah, so I have applied masking tape on this. So first I have applied masking tape, then using compass I'm marking circles so that I can cut the gimbal pieces. So it's a circular gimbal so that it can act like a pendulum motion, so the mobile will be stable. If I apply a phone or a smartphone in between, when I fix that phone using the holder in between that gimbal, so that when we move our hands it will also not move, it will be stable. That's the reason I'm making it this way. So I'm using some hardwood and I'm cutting it using hacksaw blade. So I'm using this hardwood for the weight, so it will be around 800 gram. So I'm using this for the weight so that it will not have a pendulum motion and the gravity will be at the center. And when we put the mobile, when we keep the mobile in the holder, it will be stable. So I already cut the pieces. Now I will keep it aside. I'll fix it later. So now I'm going to cut the pieces. This is the MDF board. It's a veneered MDF board. So it's also a scrap board that I got from my friend, and I'm using this for the handle. So this is for the handle. Now I'm using jigsaw machine to cut it. So it's around like 2 to 3 mm thick blade which has been used in the jigsaw blade. So these are the MDF, veneered MDF. So using this is for the handle. So I'm cutting in 2 pieces and then I will fix it. Then I will mark the design for the handle, then I'll cut it using the same way. I have kept it aside. Now I am using drill bit. So this drill bit is around like 9 mm drill bit, 9 to 10 mm. So I'm using this to drill a hole in between that so that I can put the rod, wooden rod in between that, a square or a rectangle wooden rod. So it's difficult to cut it in between. That's the reason I'm drilling it, so that later I can cut it using the hacksaw blade or a wire saw. So first I have drilled with a 9 mm, then I'm drilling with a it was not 9 mm, sorry, it's about 9 mm. So this one is around like 2 mm, 2 to 3 mm drill bit. I used to drill it sidewise so that I can use jigsaw machine to cut it. It will be easy for me to cut it using jigsaw machine after drilling it. Oh my god, to be honest, there was so much dust because it's MDF and it's like a powder substance inside. When we drill it, you know, MDF is made of a fiber, like a compressed fiber, medium density fiber. MDF is nothing but medium density fiber. So it's a compressed using so many wooden particles, wood powders, and you can say sugarcane fibers, etc., etc. We have used several materials to make this MDF compressed using so many glues. Most of the glues being used for to making MDF is MDF, HDF. It depends on the glue, the hardness, the thickness, the tension depends on the glue. Like urea formaldehyde, in most of the plywood and MDF we will be using urea formaldehyde and phenol formaldehyde. It will be like when we use phenol formaldehyde, it will be water resistant or waterproof for those particular plywoods. Like BWP we will be using phenol formaldehyde, in HDF also we will be using. Depends on the glue only, it will be effective. And now I have already stick the wood piece, the hardwood, for the weight. I'm going to stick for the handle part. So as I said earlier, I'm using MDF to fix it, to make a handle. I used normal glue, a marine glue, Fevicol, MR Fevicol. So next I'm using masking tape to fix it. Like usually it won't be having any pressure or compression. To apply force and to make it stick properly in a hard way, I'm using the masking tape to fix it. So later I will keep it to dry for a long time, like a couple of hours, 7 or like 5 to 6 hours. That will be enough. So I'm using the edges to put the masking tape. So it's very difficult if you are not having the clamps here. I have clamp, but I didn't bring to my place where I'm working now. So it's very difficult to fix a hardwood without a clamp. So the MDF that I used for the handle is like 18 mm MDF. Like I'm using 2 sides, so it will be like 36 mm in total. After this I will be keeping these 2 pieces aside to dry. So it's already been dry, this hardwood. Now I'm going to drill in between. So I'm using the same 10 mm or 9 to 10 mm drill bit to drill it. So I had a hard time using the drill bit because there was no clamp, so it was hard to drill, and after drilling it was very much difficult to remove the drill bit from that hole because it's a hardwood and it got stuck in between, and it was very difficult. And as you can see, it got it was rotating in air itself when I was drilling it. It is very risky, so children do not try in home. In this way, if you are using to drill, you need to use a clamp. I was not having the clamp, so that I used my hands as a clamp. It's very risky, but I advise not to use the way I used. You need to take safety precautions while using. So I used 2 types of drill bit, the 9 to 10 mm and also the 2 to 3 mm. Now I am using jigsaw machine to cut all the pieces for the gimbal, so the circular pieces. So as you can see, I am using the first part. So after cutting all this, we need to assemble. Assembling is a bit complicated part, however it will be easy when you are used to it. See, as you can see, I'm cutting that hole that I had drilled earlier to make it a rectangular shape. So it's finally done, the middle hole. So at first it was not fixing because as you can see, the hole was not that big for the 18 mm ply to fix. It was not 18 mm, it was a bit higher than that. So later I made it to fix in that MDF board. So it was almost done to fix. Now I'll be using to cut it. At first I thought to cut from outer side. However, as I told you earlier, I'm not having a clamp, so it will be difficult. If I cut from outer side at first, then it may damage the board. That's the reason I used cut from inside, so that I will be having a support to support, like I will be use my hand to support it. So the first piece, the smaller piece, the smaller circle has already been cut. Now moving to the second part. The gap between the circles are like 2 to 3 mm. 2 to 3 mm, no, it's like 4 mm. So the gap between the circles were 4 mm, and it was very difficult to cut in between that because the thickness of the blade itself was like 2 to 3 mm, and I needed to cut the other part also. As you can see, I'm also I'm trimming the excess. So it's almost done. Now I'll be cutting the part of the handle, the side of the handle, where I will be fixing the handle part. It looks like a slingshot. Now it looks like a slingshot part, right? If you fix both sides with the rope or with the what you can say elastic part, you can use it for a slingshot. So as you can see, I'm removing the chipped part because I'm not using the two-way circle, saw. That's why the chipped part will come. So it's almost done. All the circles been cut, and let's move on to the assembly part. So now I'm going to assemble all the part, and still there are some place remaining to drill. Need to drill for the dowel to fix. Okay, let's glue it and fix it to the weight. So it will be the vertical point, the vertical part of this gimbal. A support, a pendulum. You can say this will give a pendulum motion also if it's doing. So I'm using the float to bang. It's nothing but to make that rod to get inside. And it was very difficult to drill in this wooden part because this wooden piece was, after joining in two sides, it was like about 60 to 70 mm thick. So I'll be using some wooden powder, like the excess powder that after cutting I got so many powders, wooden powder. So I'll be using it to fill that hole because the rod was not that the hole was not that depth for that rod to get till the end. So I'm using the wooden powder to fill it so that there will be no gap or there will be no holes. So it's almost done. All the parts been fixed. Now I'm drilling the holes for the dowel to fix, and so that it can rotate. So at first it was very difficult me to drill it. It was very risky. As you can see how risky it was to drill it because I am using my hands to clamp. If a bit of misfortune happened, like if it was missed a bit, then there will be a hole in my hand. However, I have drilled it carefully, so carefully, as you can see now. So these are the holes that I'm making it for the handle, so that the handle can be fixed using the dowel to that part where I have drilled. So this is the handle part. I need to cut it later. So yeah, as you can see, there are so many dust. It was way more fun As you can see, it was very funny and fun. Enjoyed. To be honest, I enjoy a lot doing these works. I like woodworks, and to be honest, I don't like system works. But I'm doing most of the works as system. Even editing, know how difficult it is to edit it. I to be honest, I will tell the truth. Like, I'm not spending that much time to edit. I'm not editing as the top class editors those who edit. Yeah, it is very difficult for me to edit. I use KineMaster app to edit. So yeah, it is very difficult. And to be honest, it took more than 3 days for me to edit because time is really precious. Okay, as you can see, I'm using the dowel, and it's a 6mm dowel. Yeah, 6 to 7mm, you can see, or 8mm. I'm not sure about the thickness, but I use in a normal way. So at first it was not fixing because to be honest, the way that the hole which was on the slingshot part it was not that depth. So I removed the dowel and again I fixed it using hammering. Then I will remove once again. So I'm confirming now whether I need to fix it or not. So I removed once again. Then I will use glue to fix it, because now I didn't use, because I normally use the dowel to plug it. Now I will glue it, then I will fix it once again. So this is the third attempt to try. Yeah, I'm cleaning the holes first, because yeah, if there is dust then it will be more complicated. So before gluing it, I'm cutting the part, because after gluing it will be difficult for me to cut, because as I said earlier, I'm not having the plan. So when I checked it, the thickness was a bit high, but it's okay. So we are moving on to the phone holder part. So I have used some plastic material which I got it from a oil can. I cut it from it and I bend it in a way that it looks like a phone holder. So it was very difficult for me to make this part also. Like, I needed to cut it and then I made it like a way that it looks like a holder. So first of all, I will glue using the hot glue, like hot melting glue. So I'm gluing it together. Then later I will use stapler pins to fix it, like for the most safety, for the safer side, so that it won't be plugged out. And I will also use the glue to fix the downer part, and this part will be fixed to the rod, the wooden rod. So I will also drill the two sides also later, and I'll be using the sides, like I will be gluing the sides so that there will be a grip, so that the phone will not slip out and it will not fall. So that's the reason I use the glue as a grip, so that the phone can be stay stable. At first it was very difficult for me to put the phone. As you can see, it was a bit difficult. Later I bended it and made it a bit wider. Yeah, now is the part where I will drill it, and I'm just using a screw type part. The previous I had a phone stand, so the phone stand, when it broke, I used that screw for this part, for the gimbal. Yeah, this is a screw I got it from that phone stand, the mobile stand, what you can see. Okay, so it's almost done. Now the handle part. So I'm using the blade to cut the edges, the chipped parts. Then I will be using a triangle file, but if you have a circular file it will be better, because I didn't have the circular blade, circular file, sorry. So I had some small circular files, that's the reason I used it later to smoothen it. So it's almost done, the handle part, after sanding, filing, etc. Okay, now I'm going to fix it later. Like, now the first smaller circular part of the gimbal. Yeah, it was very difficult for me to screw it because I was not having the the screwdriver also. Most of the things I was not having. I'm using my bare hands to make it possible in most of the cases. Yeah, I'm using an easy way to fix it. But later it will be like expanded. Yeah, after several use it will expand, don't worry. So this part is almost done, still to go.